as long as he can hold fast on that permacharge, it is so much, like, if you can get Pr1nc3's game plan running, he is vastly superior to Springman. The hard part is he has to get that game plan rolling, and that is a very, very difficult thing for Pr1nc3 to do in a lot of situations, especially when you're heading to smaller, close-ranged stages like sparring rain, which is somewhere we're going to be heading to first. That said, a lot of Pr1nc3 actually don't seem to mind sparring rain, which is a very curious thing to me. Granted, you want the EMP, you benefit a lot from it, but sometimes all you need is a good deflect. And Pr1nc3 is more than happy to supply a very solid deflect, much like Springman, much like Mix Brass. Pr1nc3 at the end of a dash, when you charge, if you release, a shockwave barrier comes out around him that will deflect anything but explosions, allowing you to follow up. It is great. It's super effective. Great at punishing so much in this game. And locking so many down. And just kind of getting, like, the Spring characters are huge in getting the opponent, like, obviously a lot of characters want to push their opponent into the corner. But the Spring characters, the deflectors, they're exceptional. If they have you in a corner, they are going to capitalize on that, because they essentially have an invulnerability frame that they can maximize and allow them to kind of continue to pummel through. Coupled with things like we've got the Toaster, we've got the Tribals, coupled up with it, there's a lot of coverage that is coming in with Pr1nc3 to assist him in being able to take Frosty out. Honestly, it looks like both players are kind of playing a default game here, which is, we love a good default duel. It's always entertaining, it's a little quirky, it's a little silly. Remember the old times from way back when. Just a reminder that Kid Cobra is hot. And of course, Frosty going in with the ever classic Kid Cobra, going in with the defaults of Cooler Rain and Hydra, which are actually very potent arms, very capable of doing some high damage. The Cooler Rain can do Ice Chains. The Hydra has a 3-pronged vertical strike that, even when charged, always acts as 3 individual projectiles, which means that there's a lot of situations you just cannot punch them down. There's cases where you can actually get your deflect can get punished by the Hydra, so it is a fantastic choice for Frosty to work with in this matchup. Though, if I remember correctly with Frosty, he just plays these 2 arms. I don't believe he does much else than work with these 2 arms, and you can see why. With a rush play like that, high damage output, a lot of coverage, it comes out super fast, super scary. So is getting EMP'd like that, as Pr1nc now looking for one more hit. One more grab could easily take him out. The Tribal, the Toaster coming in clutch. And despite a very impressive showing as Frosty nearly gets the comeback, it is going to be Pr1nce's win for our first set. Frosty was like, he just needed one more tap in that rush. Just one more tap and he would have had that. But unfortunately was not able to get that secured for himself. It's a very high damage output rush. Like, he has 2 burst arms, and typically from what we see, burst arms do not synergize well with each other. There's a lot of situations where you kind of have the lock-in moment and the moment where you're doomed. But the way Frosty is able to kind of play those 2 arms and the way they space each other up, it is very hard to find windows to punish it. Which makes the Hydra Cool Rain very oppressive and super fast in how it comes out. You can punch down the Hydra, but the Cool Rain comes in super fast, and it's a much more difficult arm to be able to parry with anything else. When Rush comes out, it does increase the weight of the arms too, which means that Cooler Rain would be a heavy weight. So it's not only coming in from the side, but it's heavy. So the only thing that can contend it would be a rush, a counter rush, or a whammer, or kablammer. That exists. But you have very few options outside of just trying to dodge it, and I mean, easier said than done with a rush as powerful, as much coverage as that. And not only that, it synergizes super well with the Hydra as it lifts the player up. Normally, that can be really difficult to follow up with any other arm. But Hydra, you see how tall and vertical it is when it's shooting out. We'll look over at Frosty's side just to kind of see. And you can see that reach. It doesn't matter how high they are. That Hydra is going to hit them. So Frosty is going to take us to sparring ring 4, game 2. Looking for a little bit more advantage and is actually playing pretty well here, currently holding the health lead. But a tribal grab combo will be plenty to be able to even the odds. Another 1-2 and Pr1nc3 now in the lead. Goes for a fairly confident EMP, recognizing that if anything got too close during the recovery, he would have an additional rush. Deflection, extra defense there, does not get the timing on that as Frosty was in the air, could not get juggled. Out comes a quick counter rush. Pr1nc3 tried to respond. You saw how quickly he dashed out of that, but Frosty, again, these arms are super safe and very dangerous. This is one of the few loadouts that if you see your opponent pop this rush, you just kind of want to go for the block. Otherwise, you might be in for a world of hurt. And that is going to be how Frosty manages to secure a phenomenal game 1. If I wasn't juggling 16 things, I might have replay set up so that we could watch that again as they're building up for the next stage. But alas, I'm juggling 16 things right now. So we'll just appreciate that happened. Up comes a nice tribal into Toaster. Pr1nc3 is looking for a very clean KO here. I do not see him wanting to utilize that rush. Hold it onto it for the next round where he might have a less advantageous position. Gets that KO. Both players will be moving into the next round with rush ready. Frosty wants that point. He wants to be able to secure. He wants to balance things out. And he's going to have to take Pr1nc3 out in this set to be able to do so. Trying to play things patiently. Does not want to go for anything too risky as that rush could break Pr1nc3 out of the freeze. And potentially do a deflect as well, giving him a great moment to go for a counterplay. And it looks like Frosty, not necessarily at the back heel here. He has a lot of room. He is utilizing this environment phenomenally as he is pushing Pr1nc3 slowly back against the wall, giving him a lot less room to be able to respond to this Coolerang. One of the best ways to defeat a Coolerang is to move forward or backwards. But if you're backed against the wall, it is super difficult to do that. Manages to dash out of the way of the Coolerang. Pr1nc3 utilizing that EMP high speed, managed just barely timing that out. And it's going to steal away a huge rush from Frosty. Managing to keep the two kind of locked even. Pr1nc3 holding onto a light lead. I think that locks it in. He is going to gain the second set against Frosty off of that grab catch. Nicely done, Pr1nc3. Again, fantastic showing from these two players, but we are not done. That is only 2-0 in the lead for Pr1nc3. As these two are just kind of button heads, trying to take names and work their way through. It is anybody's game still, though. Pr1nc3 is holding a major advantage here. I imagine we're going to go to Sparring Ring again. I know it's Frosty's favorite stage. This is a stage he loves dearly. I'm pretty sure Pr1nc3 likes it as well. Again, I don't understand Springtrons. I don't understand them. They're very great. You see the talent, you see the skill coming from this player, but I don't understand why we're going to there. Like, I get it. I've seen all the reasons. I respect them. I disagree. We're not going to have that argument, though, because we'd be here all day. So we are going to come back here for one more try. I noticed that Pr1nc3 has the standard boomerang swapped out for a coolerang. I think that's an excellent choice for those niche situations where Toaster Tri-Bolt is not effective. The ice chains from coolerang are just so absolutely phenomenal. But I mean, he doesn't need it right now. We've got the bread and butter. The first two arms, a lot of players wield in this game. It's just making dreams work. Even playing field ground? No, it's not. It's smaller. It's smaller. It is not even. There is a disadvantage for specific players and builds because it's smaller. It is not even. I know a lot of people like to see it as the final destination of Smash Brothers, but it's probably more akin to Small Battlefield, which phenomenal stage, probably my favorite. But it is excellent rush coming in from Frosty, 350 damage plus the 20 top off as he's falling. A very nice juggle there. Very solid use of the coolerang to stop that Tri-Bolt from leading into a grab confirm. Frosty currently holding onto a notable health lead here. Needs to be super wary of this rush. You can see him being careful. Doesn't want to go for anything that can be punished with a deflect, which means it's a little easier for Pr1nc3 to kind of bring things back, as he's just able to play a little more aggressively, abuse these deflects, and set things up a lot more confidently. And all of a sudden, he's got that health lead. He pops the rush one moment where Frosty's guard is down, and Frosty has to land this grab to bring things back. Both players are at critical, but the Tri-Bolt seals his fate. Pr1nc3 will be advancing 3-0 against Frosty in a fantastic, powerful play. Excellent game from both players.